Everyone assumes that the kind of people who leave for a cruise ship contract are the adventurous type, people who don't have doubts and who just know they want to travel the world and do this 100%. And in this video, I want to show you that I wasn't this type. I had lots of doubts. I wasn't sure if that was the right path for me. And it actually took me quite a bit of time to decide that I would accept my first contract. So if you've been thinking about this path for months, maybe even longer, and you still don't quite feel like the adventurous type that would just pack a suitcase and just go straight away, I just want you to know that this is not what happened to me either. I spent over a year saying no in my head before I actually said yes to the opportunity, and it was not an easy decision at all. It was a very slow process for me to accept that I would start this kind of life. And yeah, I ended up doing 8 contracts, 3 cruise lines over 4 years, but none of this was guaranteed and sure in my head at the start. It was not planned at all. And whether you're thinking of cruise ships for maybe the future, or whether you're about to take the first step right into it, or whether you're pulling back and thinking that's not for you, I deeply believe that a lot of people have questions and doubts within, and so it can be a great opportunity to have this conversation. The first thing I want to say is that if you're feeling this is completely normal. You're just being a reasonable person. I don't think there's anyone who is responsible in their heads and that make decisions like this without thinking through it and without experiencing fear, doubts, and big questions within. So just saying, but I think you are normal feeling this way if you are. The second one is that I made a quiz specifically for the purpose of this video, which is, are cruise ships even right for me? Is it the path that I want? If you're a musician and if you're interested in working on cruise ships. So you can grab it down below for free if you're curious to take the test. So you might be wondering what it is that actually convinced me to start doing cruise ships. And no, it was not the money, even though that played a big part in the decision I made. At the time I was working as a piano teacher in London. I was trying to do gigs here and there, but I was lacking music experience, performing experience. And so it was really hard for me to get paid for performing. And I knew that was my dream. I had been trying to do this for over 5 years. I'm originally French and I moved to London at 17 years old. And so I knew cruise ships would be such a shortcut in terms of performing and becoming a professional musician. I knew that even in a contract, even if the contract was 3 months, I would learn so much about performing and I would become a professional musician in the same way as on land it might take me 30 years or 10 years to get there with the amount of hours I spent behind the piano. And so this really was the main reason for me. It was the experience as a performer and to also finally be paid for being a musician, which is not so much about the money at the end of the day. It's more about identity, right? I feel like we all want as musicians to be recognized, to be seen as a musician, and to be able to say to other people in our lives, hey, I make a living, this is what I do full time. And so no, it was not a snap decision. It didn't take me 2 seconds to think, hey, I'm just gonna do this. I had lots of questions in my mind. For context, I have 2 brothers who are older than me, and when I said to them I was thinking of working on cruise ships, they freaked out, and one of them said to me he thought there might be some violence and prostitution and lots of things that are not so glamorous. And I really freaked out. I was like, oh, I don't know about this world. I didn't know anybody at the time. There was no one really doing videos about this world. Actually, yes, there was a girl on YouTube who was doing videos, but I was really scared and everyone around me was scared. Like, it was like, oh, you're gonna work on a cruise ship, you're gonna be sailing for months and you're gonna get paid to perform. Like, all of this sounded so weird for my family and for my friends, because I come from a family and from an environment where like even being a professional musician is not a thing. It's like you do music for fun as a hobby, but you don't really get paid for it. So if you can relate to anything I'm saying right now and that you're actually thinking whether this path is right for you at all, how much does it pay to work on board as a musician, etc., I'd recommend you take the free self-check quiz for you down below so that you can figure this out and get some answers. The link is just here in the description. And so if you watch some of my other videos, you probably know that a year before I got hired for my first contract, I had some auditions. I was living in London at the time and I went down to Brighton to audition as a keys player in a band. And at the time I wasn't so sure. I got this offer because I saw an ad on Facebook and I knew it would be great financially and for all the reasons I just mentioned to actually travel the world, have a contract, etc., and to get all that performing experience. But I just wasn't sure because I didn't know this world, and because leaving everything seemed so scary to me, like thinking that not only I was going to work on a ship, but I was also going to live there and to be surrounded by people who I don't know, and all that was really scary. And so when I did that audition and I failed at it, I just thought that was a sign, but it stayed in my mind. I was like, oh, maybe I would love to do this, and that would be a nice way to thank myself for all the efforts I made in terms of trying to become a professional musician. You know, to have a contract where I'm paid monthly, where I'm seen as the professional musician. But I was so scared about it. And a year later, I just thought that I didn't like the life I was having in London, where I was teaching piano. I just wanted to do music. And I considered this path again. And this is when I tried to look for agencies and these kind of things. So I'd say that the thing that convinced me the most really was the performance experience. I knew that I would step up in my game of being a musician, and I just thought to myself, well, if I'm doing this professionally on a cruise ship, maybe once I'll come back on land, I'll have a lot of opportunities. And thanks God I was right. I was so right, and I'm so grateful that I took the leap, that I gave myself a chance. And I wouldn't say the main reason why I accepted working on cruise ships is traveling, even though I was excited to do it, but that was more for Instagram. I was not really excited about the idea of traveling. But if you're feeling any of these doubts about like whether is it right for me, like am I going to enjoy it? That's why I do videos about it, is because I know there's so much about this world and it's not for everyone. Not even just in terms of like being a nomad and just going country to countries and, you know, living with a suitcase like I did for 4 years. It also takes a lot of courage and strength, I believe, to leave everything behind, to leave your job, your pets, your friends, your family, and to believe in yourself and just go for it. However, I'm so grateful that I did it, because it truly changed my life and my relationship to music in a bad way, but also in an amazing way, because now I'm able to have such amazing opportunities. I'm able to help people through this path. So for me, it was not one moment where I was like, oh, I really want to do this. I think I got excited about the idea of doing cruise ships once I got closer to, you know, the auditioning process, to packing, and then to getting on board. It was not like just one moment where I was like, oh, I'm meant to do this. It was more the kind of life I was aspiring to, and also feeling at peace financially, which is also one of the reasons why I decided to go for it. Now, if you think that you are ready to work on cruise ships, I created a course specifically for how to get your first cruise ship contract as a musician. There's so much about this world, about how it works, about how it is to live on board, about whether it's actually for you or not, and about how to apply the best way, whether to go directly with cruise lines or with agencies, so that you can get the best contract. I've put all my knowledge and a step-by-step process in this course, and if you are interested, the link is down below. There is a launch price for the first 20 people who enroll, so go and have a look, and do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. If you're curious to hear what goes on actually behind these decisions of working on cruise ships and what it's like to work on board, but also the behind the scenes, feel free to subscribe down below, as I post twice weekly. And let me know down below, what is the one thing that kept you going back and forth to making these kind of decisions, because I really love to know about your perspective too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.